Hello there. Welcome to the story that scale. How your inception story of your company can fuel growth, impact, and freedom using the company stories builder that we designed specifically for you. Today, we are going to delve right into a masterclass, especially for purpose-led women founders and teams. And we're going to help you reignite your growth in a way that is going to burn you out, not going to add to your time, but helping you reconnect to that which fuels you most, which is your core purpose and the original reason founded your company. So today in this masterclass, you'll define your company inception story, the origin story of how and why your company began, and use to learn one of the Force for Good tools called the Company Story Builder. And you'll capture and share that story with your team. Today's space is all about helping you step into greater clarity and freedom. But by the end of the session, you'll have a compelling but founding story, and you'll add to your 4-page growth plan, which if you don't know what that is, we're going to explain it to you, and instill new habits and actions to carry forward. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Have you built an amazing company, but now feel like you've hit a growth plateau? Many founders reach this point. You are not alone. Are you still wearing way too many hats with the business depending on you for all the little things? Maybe you're craving more freedom from the daily grind? Do the people around you, your team, your customers, understand your why? Or is the founding purpose getting a bit lost as the daily grind and time goes by? And most importantly, are you feeling the spark that got you started in the first place? Saying yes to any of these, you're in the right place. Today's session is about turning all of this around. By defining your company inception story, we're going to back into that original energy and break through stagnation. It's very exciting, right? The Force for Good system is an elevated model for leading perpetual growth in your company. It's a way to gather your team around the important ideas and concepts that create both impact, scale, and profit. This masterclass and the series around it helps you install a system of perpetual growth. And over time, it's going to help you develop and empower your team to do their best every day. You can get access to free weekly tools like the one we're going to introduce today by going to aforceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. So today's focus is the company inception story. This is the story of how and why your company began. Captures your passion and the spark that inspired your venture. It is one of the 4 growth elements of the Force for Good system, and it lives on the 4-page group. So today's tool is called the Company Stories Builder. So we're going to use the Company Stories Builder, which you can download. And in this workshop, you're going to write your company inception story and identify high potency action to move your company growth forward. So make sure you go and download the Company Stories Builder every day. You come to work and get on the treadmill, the hamster wheel of your life and your business, and everybody on your team does the same. If you don't devote specific attention and focus, nobody's going to bring up your company inception story. But when you have time to do it, you're going to see opportunities for growth. The origin story of how your company began lives on the 4-page growth plan. It's one of the 4 growth elements. So here's what the 4-page growth looks like, and you can download it when you go to a courseforgood.biz/weekly-tool. On the first page, uh, we focus on knowing your purpose. The 4-page growth plan invites you and your team to become clear and aligned on knowing your purpose. The first thing it contains is your inception story. The second is the core purpose, then the 100-year company vision, and then later we get to the 10-year impact goal and the core values. Today, we're going to dive into the inception story, which is at the very top of the core growth plan, because it is the foundation and aligns everyone in your company where you are going and why. It will help you make decisions as you think about your customer and how you're going to serve them. It will also influence your strategy as you build your impact plan on pages 3 and 4 of the growth plan. So get out the company stories builder, which you can get it for free until April 7th. Go ahead and pick it up in the first page of the company stories builder. We're going to prepare you to connect with your deeper reason. The first question is, what is the story of how your company began? Think about, write down, visualize why you started your company. And so, was there a moment? Was there a series of events that sparked your company? Think back and remember what led to it. What conversations did you have? Who were you talking to? Was there a problem you experienced, or was there a problem that you noticed somebody in the world experiencing, and you discovered that there could potentially be a way to do it better? What were the hopes and the dreams that you, the founder or the founders, what were the hopes and dreams of creating this business? What did you hope would be possible? Just take some notes, write down whatever comes to your mind. And was there a person or a situation that inspired you? In the case of my healthcare company, Illuminate, my stepdaughter Amelia inspired. We had found out after all kinds of challenges of caring for her around the clock and spending a lot of money on private care, we discovered that she qualified with our health insurance for 16 hours a day of nursing services. And we were so excited, but then we couldn't find a home health agency that would provide these particular services. We came to understand it's because it's such a niche, such a specific type of service. So we were inspired, and I say we, I mean me and one of my co-founders, Christine, and then we found ourselves a nurse who was experienced in this niche. And we decided that we wanted to do this, that we could make it possible for more children and adults like Amelia with medical complex needs and technology dependency to have this service available to them. So this is our inception story. It came from our own experience, but it doesn't have to. It could be something you see somebody else experiencing, an injustice or a gap in the market. And then going to the next page of the company stories builder, you can start to ask these next questions. What was the transformation you hoped the company would offer these constituents? What did you hope you could do to help them? What was the change you hoped you could bring to their lives? In the case of Illuminate, I wanted these children and their families to have access to home health services, around the clock home health services, and a payer. That was what I wanted. Anyone who wanted it could get it if they were qualified, had a medically fragile loved one. So that was the transformation. The next question is, what did the founders hope to create for others in the world? I wanted to double the access to this kind of care in my state at the time. So I lived in Connecticut at the time, and there was a number of people who were on waiting lists. I wanted to double the amount of services provided in 10 years. Why did we start the company? Because there wasn't enough access for these patients. Why did you or the founders of your company start your company? What was the deep and profound reason worthy of all the risk, all the sacrifice, all the long hours, the vacations where you're on the phone, investing in the business, not paying yourself enough at times, maxing out your credit cards, whatever it is. What made it worth it? And what is the story behind the name of your company? Did you have a particular story behind the name of your company that you could weave into your company's story? So now you've gotten some ideas about why you started your company, remembering the big transformation or purpose you wanted to bring. So then the next step here, this next page, is where you view the Inception story Mad Lib, right? And this is designed to be a way to get your ideas out and draft them quickly. So here we have it. It's ever since, and you know, in the year. So ever since, in my case, 2016, ever since that year, when our founder, and you say it as founder's name, had this profound experience and discovered these needing people or core constituents, having a tremendous need for specific core need, problem, or pain. So that's how we start ever since the year when our founder, the founder's name, and then you name the core profound experience that this founder had. In this case, I had called over 30 home health agencies and none of them would take us because none of them did this kind of home health. I discovered all of these patients not being served in the state and not having access to home health services that they needed around the clock. That's when Illuminate decided to become dedicated to supporting children and adults with medical complex needs at home. So you name your core constituent and then you in experiencing at home remarkable care. That was what we were driven to do. Our core purpose was remarkable care. Take a moment to draft this out. This first part of the sentence creates your company story, your inception story. Now, if you're a company that's been around a while, you can go on to the next piece. And it says, all these years later, we are now serving 1,000 patients at home, for example, 87 towns in the state of Connecticut. We remain dedicated to helping complex nursing patients at home, helping them overcome the challenge of accessing 24/7 nursing care so they can experience being surrounded by the care they need at home with a funding source. This is how you map out your inception story. Try this out. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just blow through this. And then you can ask ChatGPT or your favorite sources for AI to make this even better for you. So this is how you create your first draft. All right. So an example here, I just gave you an example of Illuminate, but I'm also going to share with you Mad Lib in helping break down what the Spanx inception story looked like. And again, I would take this draft and put it into AI and make it even better. Ever since 1998, when our founder, Sarah Blakely, struggled to find seamless undergarments that worked under white pants and discovered women everywhere having a tremendous need for comfortable, slimming shapewear that didn't roll down or show seam, has been dedicated to supporting women in experiencing confidence, comfort, and empowerment in what they wear. So that's how the first draft of that first paragraph works. Now, because they've been around a long time, you can keep going. All these years later, we are now serving millions of women over 50 countries. And we remain dedicated to helping women of all shapes and sizes overcome the struggle of finding shapewear that is both functional and flattering so they can experience greater confidence, comfort, and freedom in their daily lives. So this is how you use this Mad Lib to get your ideas out on page. And then you can use AI to make it even better. Once you do that, then you can start to use the vision test. You want your company inception stories to pass these tests. You want to make sure it has these 6 things. Number one, does the story tie together past, present, and future into one cohesive story? Second, ask yourself, does the story depict the people we serve and the needs we aim to address? Does the story relate to the core purpose with those we serve and create clarity about why that core purpose is necessary? Then, does the story share the vision of what the company hopes will become possible for those we serve? So it shows what becomes possible, that transformation. Does it connect progress? Does the story share the important results and progress already achieved by the company? When the Sarah Blakely story, it was sharing we've already billions of women in all these countries, right? Does story number 6 articulate the inspiring long-term goal the organization is working to achieve right now? Its goal within the story enrolls others to want to be part of achieving it. Once you start to get this vision test going, you might make some modifications to it and then write down your final version. The next step is really important. Part 4 of the company stories builder tool is where you start to decide how you're going to share your story. Oh, your story is polished. Now, part 4 is about actually sharing the story. And I say polished, but really you're going to iterate. This first draft that you're sharing is still really a draft. The idea of the force for good system is to help you get comfortable with drafting, trying things out, innovating, and making it better. So now you have a story. You tried it out with yourself and your leadership team. How you're going to start sharing it. The story gains power when it's told, heard, and repeated by not just you, by others. So we're going to make a plan to get your company inception story out. So that's what this page of the company stories builder is about. So I invite you to share your new story in 3 ways. I challenge you to commit to all 3 in the coming days. Number 1, internal share. Share your story with your team by the end of this week. If you have a team meeting coming up, or you can call a special huddle, take a few minutes and tell them the inception story you just did. You might say, I realized we never really wrote this down, and I wanted to come to you and share what our inception story is and give you the language for us to make sure we all know about it. This can be really inspiring for your team. After something you tell them, you don't wait for them to respond to it. You can ask them, what about the story matters to you? How does this story resonate for you? And you'll find that your team members start to tell you what's most meaningful to them, and it creates enthusiasm. So that's the first piece. The second is an external share with your community. Share your story with your broader community. That could be your customers, followers, or your industry network. Post it publicly. You could put up a refreshed story blurb on your website. You could link it to all your social media. You could have your about page updated and write a LinkedIn post or article about why you founded your company. Bring it back to that new page. Do it this week. So not only does it spread your purpose-driven message, it also attracts those who resonate with this purpose and mission. It's amazing how sharing your why can actually draw more supporters, clients, believers to your business. So commit to sharing with your community this week. Finally, share your story one-on-one in the next 7 days. Think of a mentor, an advisor, a potential investor, or even a fellow founder or friend. Schedule a coffee chat or a call, and in conversation, intentionally bring up and tell your inception story. You might start with a conversation that says, I've been working on articulating my company's founding story. Can I share it with you? It's a great way to practice telling it in a more intimate setting and to deepen that personal connection with others through your story. You'll find even mentors or investors appreciate hearing the heartfelt why. It often leads to a richer dialogue that may feel valuable and more supportive for your company. For each of these sharing methods, I suggest a deadline of this week or in the next 7 days. These are important because without a time frame, it's easy to push it off. Remember, your story has power. By sharing it, you're going to ignite that power within your team, within your community, and within yourself as a leader. So don't tuck your story away, get it out there. Now we're going to go into the next stage here. Part 5 of the company stories builder is gather other stories. So your whole company is rich with other stories. So you're going to start to collect other stories. Take a moment and brainstorm. Think back. What's the story of your first customer or your first employee? What are your favorite customer stories, customer successes, customer wins, times when you were able to overcome a customer challenge? What's a story of how a customer's life or circumstances were transformed by some aspect of the care or the products or the services that were delivered? Think about those moments. And what are your favorite employee stories that depict team members going above and beyond in service of others? So you're going to start to see that there's all this lore and magic and story about your company. And you want to start to create a story bank, a reservoir of go-to stories you can use for inspiration, for marketing, team building, you name it. Here we can go on to what is a story of a team member helping a customer overcome a challenge. What has your company had to overcome to grow and survive by its stories about how we overcame COVID and what we had to do to get PPE out into the field, how we had multiple town halls to make sure everybody felt inspired, and how we sent out gift boxes to the nurses in the field. All of these stories really matter. What has your company achieved that makes you and your team feel a deep sense of pride? Start to think about these customer impact stories, overcoming challenge stories. You can find values in action, identify where your core purpose is in action or where your core values are in action. A team triumph story is always good. Implementing a new system or creating a new product or whatever it is. Like these are great stories to have. Pivot story, times when you made a big change in your business and had to go a different direction because something changed or you realized something wasn't working. You can find support stories where people helped you, an individual, a mentor, partner, investor, your early employee who was crucial to your journey. Future vision stories, future scenarios that illustrate the impact you inspire to give. You don't need to flesh all of these out right now, but take note of these ideas. These are the types of stories that can continuously build your company's culture and brand. And so one of the pieces of the Force for Good system is called the 7 Rituals of Innovation. These are where you meet regularly with your team, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually, different purposes and functions. And they'll focus on different time horizons. When you meet with your team, coming with a story is a great way to really foster vision into your company. And by gathering and sharing these stories and inviting others to share stories. So one of the great tasks you can do that really empowers teams is have every week at your weekly meeting, have somebody else be responsible for coming with a inspiring story of one of these kinds. And you might be amazed by what you discover. You start to discover that this company is more than just you. Start to discover company has a whole team of people that love and care about it and are loving it more because they're part of the journey. They're the main characters of building this ordinary company. Here's where you're going to write down other ways you might start to share those stories. I just gave you some examples, but you want to write down your specific action, who is going to do what, and by. You just saw the company story builder. We just walked through it. You can download it at overgood.biz/weekly-tool. It's free for the next week. And you can go back to the 4-page growth plan and fill in the inception story. And you'll start to see that this inception story is going to guide everything that's on the 4-page plan and help you really grow your company organically and give your team tools they need. You're also going to want to double check for alignment with your inception story and everything else in your 4-page plan if you've already drafted it. I invite you to acknowledge what you already created today. You reconnected with your founding purpose. You reignited passion. You created clarity on your uniqueness as a business. You discovered what makes your company special. And you're articulating the specific problem you set out to solve and how you approached it. You've essentially established your unique differentiation. Is incredibly valuable. Sometimes in the hustle, we forget to put the special DNA of our company into our stories. Now you've put it in words, you can leverage that uniqueness in your branding, in how you pitch, and certainly in how you and the other leaders of your team are going to lead. It's going to give you alignment and inspiration. Use storytelling as a powerful leadership tool to align people. When you have a story, it creates more clarity for them about what you're trying to build. It builds confidence in your why. It's a guidepost for the future. And just notice how, as you give this gift to your team members, this story does more than tell a story. It gives people clarity about how they can be of highest and best use. Be sure to establish some high leverage habits. We talked about some immediate actions that you can take using the story builder itself. Think about how you can create repeated actions that will continue to bring up this story and other stories. High leverage habits are those tiny but mighty routines that you do consistently, which have disproportionate positive effect on your business growth and culture. A little effort in repeating them each week or each month create a big return, especially when done on a consistent basis. So in the context of storytelling and purpose, we want habits that continually reinforce, broadcast your why without you even having to be there or too hard about it each. Think about what you might do. Kick off your weekly team meeting with a quick story, add the company inception story and video with the founder sharing it to your orientation. Every time there's a new hire, it automatically share. Include that video on your social media and run it once a week so that it's coming back up to customers in your community over and over again. Add a personal purpose reflection to your routine every week, perhaps, or every morning. You might read it again to yourself. I like to read my 4-page plan, especially the purpose section, out loud every week. Share a new company story at your monthly town halls and make that engaging part of your something lasting and enriching for you and your team. These are the actions that you already decided to share your company inception story and start to identify new stories for your story that get clear on what those actions are and be sure to put them in your calendar, just designate some time to get them done. So recap today in this masterclass, we used the company stories builder and defined your company inception story. You also learned that you can use this story builder to create more stories and reconnect. You could even pass it along to different members of your team. You could assign them to listen to this recording or watch this video and use this step-by-step method to craft and test powerful stories. You discovered key insights about your purpose, your uniqueness, and the power of storytelling within your company. You identified some habits and some potent action. Congratulations. We launch a mini masterclass and provide access for 1 week. You are also invited to participate in our growth which is an online program in 12 modules at your own pace. You can implement the full Force for Good system, includes video tools and systems, and you can do this with your team or alone. You can also order the book, A Force for Good. And the book includes a full explanation of the whole system, and it walks you through all of the tools of the Force for Good. Thank you for being here today. It's my pleasure to serve you, to be a part of your life and your growth. I always like to say that the world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place.